teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Big time, lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Just running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me. Big time. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you. I will be joined at 3:30 by the living legend, Mr. Scotty Mincher, who every Wednesday, well, almost every Wednesday, comes in the studio here. So we try to give him some time on the mic, and we will certainly do that once again here this afternoon starting at 3:30. So make sure you stick around for that. But right now it's time for On This Day in Sports History. And I got to be honest, not a whole lot going on except for in 1972 on February 16th, on this day, 1972, Wilt Chamberlain of the Los Angeles Lakers becomes the first NBA player in history to reach 30,000 points during a 110-109 loss to the Phoenix Suns. 30,000 points. And that's back in the days where they didn't score a whole lot. And I know that you're going to say 110, 109. But those were the outliers. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain really was among that era of trendsetters of really starting to revamp the offense. And then you saw it go down, obviously, in the 90s with all that great defense being played. To me, still the golden age and golden era of basketball. We talk about those marks because at the end of the day, I don't know how many hockey fans are out there, but Sidney Crosby last night scored his 500th goal. And to me, Sidney Crosby is one of the best hockey players, not scorers, not defenders, not grinders, nobody like that. The best hockey players to ever skate the earth. And, when you look at some of the things that Sidney Crosby has done, not just because he's a Pittsburgh Penguin, just because he is, to me, again, they called him a whiner when he started in Philadelphia. I think he broke 2 teeth, if I'm not mistaken, came back and scored the game-winning goal in that, won the gold medal for Canada. And I think he got the game-winning goal, if I'm not mistaken, for his home country. He's done so much. And last night, against his hated rival, the Philadelphia Flyers, scores his 500th goal, which I thought was very fitting for the entirety of his career, because they call him Cindy Crosby and all that stuff. And they were the ones that called him a whiner, and they were the ones, that roughed him up and and to shove it up their tailpipe one more time. I thought was very fitting, especially because it was a from behind victory over the Flyers, who at one point had a 4-2 lead and end up losing 5-4 in overtime because of a Chris Letang goal. So congratulations, Sidney Crosby, one of the greatest of all time, I think, in any sport when it comes down to it. And we have a chiming in, Jeff Howard, as always. Jeff, hope you're doing well, brother. He says, this era right now has the best basketball. Sorry for all you old timers. I will say it. It is much softer, though. That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take because I'm not so sure. I know I don't agree with it, but I'm not so sure that there might be a few that agree with it. Maybe people that aren't accustomed to watching basketball in the 90s, but you had to be a special scorer to get 30 a night in the 1990s. Even into the early 2000s, you had to be. I mean, you think about the Detroit Pistons, the 80s, the 90s, and then they come full circle back in the early 2000s with Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace and that whole team that seemingly was unstoppable until LeBron James showed up on the scene in the East. So I'm not sure I like today's NBA. I'm not sure I like it at all. So we'll have to see how things shake out and pan out. A lot of trades. I'd like to see the teams even out again. I know everybody knows back in the day, like there were no such things as super teams. There's like, you can talk about the Chicago Bulls, the 96 Bulls. Or was it 97? I think it was 96, but I'm not that big of an NBA fan. So, but people say that was a super team. I would disagree. I think that was just a team. Anybody at that point, but there was no social media in that day. There was no social media to put everything over the top, and players couldn't really brand themselves. Dennis Rodman, did a hell of a job branding himself. I'll tell you that, without social media. All right, today's show, a lot to talk about. One of the topics that, we've been receiving a lot of texts and emails and messages today is about teams understanding how to win and understanding from a standpoint of, like, you get blown out one week by, let's say in basketball, you get blown out by 30 points, right? Well, now you feel like you owe somebody one. You feel like you owe somebody down the schedule a 30-point loss just so you can flex on them and say, well, see, this is who we are. What are we living in right now? What world are we living in right now that you have to rub it in somebody's face just to prove that you're a stronger, bigger, better team, man, woman, whatever it is? This goes all the way down to the youth level. I mean, seeing an 8U team in, let's say, baseball score 20 runs in an inning. What are you getting out of that? What are you teaching? What are you learning from that at such a young age? Varsity sports, I've gone on record before and said, you know what? If you're on the field, you're on the field. But there is a little bit of compassion that needs to go into it. And, I realize that not everybody's going to be able to win their conference or win their league or win the division, whatever it's called in your case scenario. But that doesn't mean that when you have the chance to press, when you're up 30, 40, 50, that you don't call off the dogs. When you know you're going to win a game, do you take your starters out? Do you take them out one by one, maybe? Keeping some, take your seniors out. Take out your guys that, I don't know, if they tweak a knee and you're a week away for the tournament, you're going to miss them in the tournament. Is it worth that? Is it worth that in a game? Is it worth that? Because what we're seeing nowadays is this flex, right? And the kids put it on social media. It's the arm. It's a strong arm. This flex of, this is what we're going to do. We're going to beat them, and we're going to show them that you don't mess around. Well, let me clue you in on something in today's day and age. Just absolute clue. those teams will start refusing to play you. So let's say your conference breaks down, or you leave your conference and you still need people to play. Don't call them. Don't call them, because they're going to remember that you ran it up, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, volleyball, whatever. It is a little bit harder in volleyball. I am going to say it. I've learned that it's a little bit harder in volleyball. But don't call them. Don't call them. Coaches are labeled great because I feel like they're always able to put things in perspective, right? They're always able to, the good ones, the great ones, are able to put things in perspective. Because how would you like it if you were on the other side of that? How would you feel? Let's say you take out all your guys. You're throwing the flag. That's the international sign of throwing in the towel, is taking your starters out and putting your bench guys in, right? Let's say that happens and the starters stay in. As a coach on the opposing sideline, it doesn't make you feel too great. It doesn't make you feel like you're getting a fair shake of this, because you did the right thing. And again, I'm learning. So if I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. But the way I understand it is, a coach will take out his starters if they're on the losing end of it, put in his reserves as a way to say, congratulations, you won the game. Let's turn the page. Let's just get out of here with everybody healthy. Get some valuable playing minutes for our reserves. Maybe get them a letter at the end of the year, whatever it looks like. But I just want to understand what goes on in the other person's, especially if you know that your record doesn't indicate that you're that team to do it, right? If you're not winning games by 30, 40 points on the regular, and you got the full court press on, and you got this and that, and it's happened a bunch this year. It's happened a ton this year. Not necessarily just here locally in Northeast Ohio, but it's happened all over. And we've seen that happen. And it's starting, and people sit there and they scratch their heads and they wonder why kids don't want to come out and play sports anymore. They wonder why referees don't want to officiate anymore. Because referees have a job to do as well, and that's to make sure that those games don't get out of control. Because in today's society, if you're down by 30, 40, hell, if you're down by 15 in a basketball game, those tempers are going to flare. They're going to flare. They're not just going to flare on the floor. They're going to flare in the stands. Sometimes they'll flare in the parking lot. Sometimes they'll be held all the way over to the next year. Coaches have a responsibility. Administrators have a responsibility to put a cap on that, right? To put a cap on. I'm not saying that you take a knee in victory formation in the third quarter, but there's certain things that you can do to make it not look as bad as it really is, or to not put gasoline on the fire. As a coach, you do not pour the gasoline on the fire. A 40, 50 point victory is not going to fix all the wrongdoings that you had earlier in that season. It's not. It's not. It's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid at best. It's not going to fix the problems that you will have in a week or a week and a half or whatever it may be if we're talking about basketball. The next week when we're talking about football. And trust me, the coaching circles are tight. If they see that happening to one of the friends that they have in their coaching tree or coaching circle, man, karma is a you know what. And nobody, I promise you, nobody is going to feel bad for you. Because we're so good in this country of sitting there and pounding our chest one day and the next day playing victim. Nobody's going to feel bad for you. It's just not going to happen. Because they're going to point at that calendar and say, hey, what happened here? And then you move it over to here and you say, you got what was coming. What goes around comes around. I'm a firm believer in that. And I'm not here to criticize or to light anybody on fire or point anybody out specifically. But I'm seeing a trend in this. And it's concerning for me because I run a sports streaming company that's based on having games. And I'm very fearful that if this trend continues, we will not have games. Because why is it a 17-year-old? Why is a 14-year-old? Hell, why is an 8-year-old going to want to go play baseball next season if they're losing by 20 in an inning? I think it's to get a trophy, or in the case of a regular season game, to get what? To get those warm and tinglies inside because you got to win. You got another one in the left column. Like, I'm a competitor. Trust me, I'm a competitor, and it's boot to the necks, right? When you can, but you also have to know what you're up against, right? You got to know what hill to die on. And from my standpoint, if I'm looking at that hill and I've got a team that's on the ropes in the second quarter and they're down by 20, 30, no matter what game it is, baseball, you're down by 13, 14. Maybe we're not sending our ace in there the next inning. Maybe we'll give him a nice little rest day. Maybe we're not running play action fakes, 60-yard bombs. Maybe we're not pressing for an entire 32 minutes or whatever it is. That's what you have to think about. You have to think about what you look like when you leave that gymnasium, when you leave that arena, when you leave that field, when you leave wherever you leave. Understand what your kids look like. Understand that, I hate even saying, understand you're putting your kids in danger, right? I'm a 37-time beanball survivor, right? And I have it in my Twitter profile. A lot of that came because I ran my mouth. A lot of that came because we did have situations where we would try and run up the score. Keyword try. Didn't work out very well for us. The 32 beanballs, a lot of them right off the top of the noggin, you learn a few things. You forget a few things, but you learn a few things. And I in today's day and age of instant gratification and instant put it on Twitter and I want to see the score on Score Stream and I want to see what it looks like, and we're going to prove everybody wrong in the Morning Journal the next day or the Vindicator or whatever it may be. Man, you're not thinking about next week's paper. You're not. You're thinking about getting your rocks off on that game and that game alone. And I'm not saying take your foot off the pedal and lose. But when you're up by that many, what is it going to hurt to put in other kids? So it at least looks like you're trying not to blow them out of the water, right? And then if things go sour, even a little bit, let them make the first punch. If they want to start playing cheap, then you put your starters back in, and guess what? Game on. Game on. I'm really concerned about the future of sportsmanship. I'm concerned about the future of how we're teaching our coaches that will be the next generation of coaches how to coach, how to lead. I'm very concerned and borderline distraught because all you have to, I know how I feel. If I were to go lead a team, and I've had a couple coaching positions in my day, I go back to the days where I was being coached. If you were late, you ran, right? If you had a bad day at the ballpark, you had to hit off the tee. You had to do X, Y, Z. You had to do all this stuff. And the same thing goes in every sport. We are a product of our environment. Your mother, your father, whoever raised you, your aunt, your uncle, caregiver, whoever it may be, you are a product of that environment. The same way that we step in the arena, we are a product of the environment of the coaches that we had. What are we teaching our kids? What are we teaching the next generation of athletes, of coaches, of sportscasters? What are we teaching these people by running up the score just so we can get our warm and fuzzies for that day? Not a whole lot. I just don't think we're teaching them a whole lot. I think as a collective, we have to do a better job of understanding our consequences for our actions, especially the ones that are short-lived, right? Listen, if you were in a state championship, you're hardly ever going to see somebody run up the score. You're not going to see that because there is a grace that you have to have in victory. No matter where you're at in life, there's a grace that you have to have in victory. Winners understand that. Losers, they just want to win. They don't need the grace. They just want to win. And that's what makes the winners winners and continue to win and have people that have 500, 600, 700 wins and guys that are scratching and clawing to get their team into double digits in the victory column. That's the difference. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not calling anybody out, but it's one of those talks where if you look in yourself in the mirror and it hits a little closer to home, you're probably getting a little pissed at me right now. You're probably making excuses. You're probably saying, well, what if, what, this, that, the. Tells me everything I need to know. How about you? If you have to second guess whether you should have put the press on up 50, 40, whatever, whether you should have put your reserves in, then you're probably the person that I'm addressing or people that I'm addressing, because it's not just one person. If it was just one person, we would have that would be a squash bug, right? But this has become, I want to say an epidemic. And I hope that's the right terminology for it. Now, pandemic has been thrown around, but this is an epidemic. This has turned into a problem, a big problem, not only in our area, but again, in our country. And again, I'm not a participation trophy guy, but I'm also an advocate for sportsmanship, and beating somebody by 50 at full strength is not exactly what you call sportsmanship. It's not the way I would want it done. And not that I'm anybody, but that's not the way that I would want my kid to be out there. I'm not the parent that's going to come out of the stands and say, pull my kid out now or else. But I'm also not the guy that would stop it at that point. Because at that point, you're using my kid to teach other kids a lesson that shouldn't be taught. And I think there's a lot of great parents out there that played sports that maybe sometimes get a little bit too rowdy. And I know it's tough being a coach nowadays, and I don't want to discount that. But at the end of the day, if you're using somebody else's child, or you're using other resources other than your very own to prove a point or to prove a lesson, and that lesson shouldn't be taught, sorry, pal. You get what's coming to you. Now, I would be the parent that waits till after the game and Coach, I would like a word with you. And then we would settle it there. Just because you coach does not give you a right or a guarantee to treat others on that floor and use kids in a way that they shouldn't be used. And I think that in doing this, I think we're on that path. We're on that path. So that's one thing I wanted to address. Obviously, we have a lot more to talk about. Scotty Mitcher here in studio will join us after the break. But we want to hear from you as well. We got to catch up on the comments. We'll do that here shortly. Hey, let's just do it right now. Jeff says, I feel it's only okay if the team you're playing beat you by 30, then you can pay them back if you're up by a lot the next time you play, and you can beat that team. I'm torn on this one. I'm torn on this one because two wrongs don't make a right, Jeff. Two wrongs don't make a right. What happens is then the next time they can beat you by 30. And the next time, and that might just be the way that the feud goes. until it kind of evens out. But I think you look better. A coach will always look better if you're up by 15, 20 with a minute to go or more, whatever that is, right? Because listen, your job is to make buckets in basketball. Your job is to score touchdowns in football. Your job is to score runs in baseball and softball. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you have a good night, they have a bad night. A good coach or coaching staff will recognize that and say, call off the dogs. Pull them back. A poor coach or a greedy coach, I think that's the better word, the greedy coach will say, we're going all in. We're doubling down. 30 is not enough. 30 is not 40. 40 is not 50. 50 is not 60. 60 is not 100. We've talked about this on the Power Hour before. Winning by 100 points. What in God's graces do you get other than scrutinized for winning by 100 points? What does that do? And I'm not saying you got to win every game by 1 or 3, but 100? 100 points. What's at the end of the rainbow for you? What's the pot of gold? Because I got to be honest. I know I talk about sportsmanship a lot, but the next time, like if I was a junior and somebody ran it up on me and I knew that they were on the schedule next year, football, I'm coming at your knees. Baseball, you're getting one in the helmet. You're getting one in the ear hole or between the numbers. Nowadays, between the numbers. Back when we played, ear hole. Basketball, you're gonna get fouled. You're gonna get fouled hard. That's how we would get back. And I'm not saying it's right. But I'm not gonna lie to you, it is what it is. You mess with the horns, that's what you get. That's what you get. Jeff also chiming in saying, never forget the JV baseball Canfield played Columbiana about 5 years ago. My son played for Canfield, won like 32-10. I was pissed that we ran up the score like that. You see what I mean? That is a perfect example when Jeff, what was just said by Jeff? Nothing, like using kids in that situation is never good because the coaches aren't out there in the batter's box getting plunked that next year, right? Because I'm going hunting. Like it is hunting season, y'all. And I'm coming for you. That's the way it goes. Is it right? Absolutely not. Winning by 22 isn't either in that scenario. Jeff says, well, short story. We played them again in our place and the same guys and everything. Columbiana beat us 6-3 and I loved it. They showed grit. There's your sportsmanship, right? There's your sportsmanship. Mikey G says, Jeff, I was on that Columbiana team when I was a freshman. After the game, I told the guys we were going to win next time, played Canfield, and we did. That was awesome. Eye for an eye means we all go blind, says Darren Miller. I couldn't agree with you more. Earning records against a down team is sad. I agree with that. I understand that it goes in the books, right? All these go in the record books, and some people are going to be after 1,000 points in basketball, and they're going to be after touchdown marks and single season rushing marks and RBI marks and batting average marks and things like that. Never forget, especially, and I tell this to seniors a lot, never forget that when you graduate, you start right back at the bottom, right? You go from being an 18-year-old against a 14-year-old all the way to being a 18-year-old or 19-year-old against a 25, now 26-year-old with COVID. Understand that, yes, sometimes it takes a little bit longer for some of us to mature. But coaches better be mature beyond their years. When they take that whistle, when they take that lineup card, when they take that scorebook, whatever it is. Coaches, I'm begging you. You need to start assessing the situation. You need to lead by example. Because if you don't, and sometimes you're the only positive role model in that child's life, if you don't lead by example, nobody will. And the future of sports will be compromised. And you would only be a contributor. So your moment of glory damns us all in the end. So we'll take a break. We come back, Scotty Mincher, and we'll take your chat box comments, all that and more coming up on the YSN Power Hour, brought to you by these great sponsors.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you. And at this time, we are joined by the legend of, well, what do you want to say? Legend of Soup City, technically, Mr. Scott?
Yeah. I hail from Soup City. So it's kind of what I wanted to pick your brain about today a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, I'm proud to say I'm from Youngstown, but
right.
People start, really grilling me. I'll tell them about growing up in Soup City.
Camel, like. Do you have connections to Louisville too, as well?
Yeah, I lived in Louisville up until about a year ago now, because now I live on my own. Now I'm in Struthers, but I lived in Louisville for a good, almost 20 years. So,
I love this angle because everybody can see the trash bags on the side. Like we're just slobs around here. We try to hide it. We do a pretty decent job of it a lot of times, but we take that angle, man. It's an ugly angle. I should have checked it before we started. But Scotty, I know that before we get started on your stuff you want to talk about this week, you weren't here last week. Yeah. Talk to us about why you weren't here and why it was so exciting for you.
Well, as you know, anytime I'm not here, I did miss it here, being in the studio. But I recently, it just kind of was something I've always been like somewhat interested in along with sports, and that interest is music. And because we have a program where I go to at my other job, the Purple Cat, we have a program and a band that performs. I recently took up performing with them. So that's where I was last week. We performed at West Side Bowl bowling alley.
What was the jam? What did you perform?
I did two. I did Hunger Strike by Temple of the Dog with my buddy Mark Castro, and then I did Yellow Ledbetter, which you've already
I love that one.
Seen me perform that one. I'm thinking of for our next show doing, because it's going to be on St. Patrick's Day. It's a Thursday, so I'm thinking for our next show doing some kind of like Irish, like not almost similar to Dropkick Murphys.
I was going to say, why don't you just do the Dropkick Murphys?
Yeah.
Shipping up to Boston.
Something like that.
That'd be phenomenal.
For the next show.
I keep telling you that we're gonna get hooked up, and I'm gonna come out and watch you. So hopefully there's time. Maybe we can get a power hour taped, so I can get out there and watch you perform. Because I heard nothing but good things, my friend. Nothing but good things.
It's a lot of fun. I don't take it. I just try to have fun with it. I don't take it really serious, but it's just something about in talking on air does this for me too. It's just like belting out the words of some of your favorite jams. It almost is like medicine. To me, it's really a good reliever for like, what we have to deal with in life, the stresses of life. So
Quinn Pushkar says, Scotty, what's up, my man? Looking good in that Guardians jersey. How you feeling about that?
Before you jump all over me, Quinn, I do have a Guardians T-shirt. I don't know if
is it still the Guardians of the Galaxy one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have that one. So I do own Guardians apparel.
Are you going to go actually buy Guardians apparel? Like, will you get a Guardians jersey?
I don't. I have to see. I'll probably end up getting one, I would guess. I want to see how they look on the players. And right now, I mean,
I think they're exactly the same, aren't they? Except for like some of the font.
Yeah, like so I'll probably end up getting one. I'm thinking maybe I like the red, but so maybe like the red jerseys. And let's hope we have a season.
Don't even start. Don't even start with it. Darren Miller saying Temple of the Dog, Scotty's stock just went up in my mind. So I like that. It means you're good taste in music. And then Joshua Michael, which is, of course, Josh Upshire, the head basketball coach over at Badger, says they will always be the Indians. And that's coming from a Pirates fan. That's why I like them so much.
Yeah, it's I'm not like that. Like I do have as you can tell by me wearing this jersey, there's always something like the Indians are gonna hold a special place in my heart. But to me, it's not a big deal. They're still in Cleveland, so. It's a Cleveland team. Like my dad, he brainwashed me. If they're Cleveland, we're gonna root for them. So, I have no problem calling them the Guardians, but I'm also not gonna just get rid of my
You're not gonna burn
Indian stuff.
Were you one of the guys that burned the LeBron jersey?
I was.
I knew it.
Back then, though, I was like a lot more pissed off. Like I'd get more angry about things. I was only maybe, I think 21, 22 at the time. And back then like now I look back on that and I'm like, man, that was stupid. Those were some nice jerseys I burned, but
How many did you burn?
At least 2 or 3.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All at once or just individually fired?
I think we just threw them all in there at once.
Okay, you said we. Who else was with you throwing these jerseys in the fire?
My brother and my cousin.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys tape it too?
No, we didn't tape it. But
so there's no proof. There's no evidence.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, they'll just have to take my word.
Why would you lie about that though?
Yeah.
That's one of the interesting. All right, let's get to you have some questions. You want to talk about Camel. You want to talk about the Soup City Raiders. Or no. Red Devils. Sorry.
Red Devils.
I knew I'm all raided up because we had a couple of signings. The Camel Red Devil. See, if I put Soup City in there, I'm thrown off. The Soup City Raiders does sound good though.
Yeah, it does. It has a nice ring to it.
But the Red Devils that's the official. The Camel Red Devils, obviously. Scotty, what questions do you have about? I mean, you as a person of the city, growing up in Camel, talk to me about your feelings on Camel.
Yeah, I've always took pride in. For years, I remember the first Camel football game I went to. Camel, and they were playing Struthers, and there was the tension was it like an all-time high. I think it was the 1999 season, and just like the banter back and forth between the fan bases, and you could feel like the rivalry, the hostility. It was awesome, and I just think Camel, they have a great, I love that field. Their
it's beautiful. Their stadium,
beautiful. And then for basketball, man, their court,
that gray.
I absolutely, they knock it out of the park, man.
They get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and I hate saying that because somebody's going to take that out of context and say, "Whoa, wait a minute, we don't get it because we don't make a gray court." No. That's called, to me, it's forward thinking, right? You give your kids something different because then they feel special. They feel like, okay, all right, whatever. I don't even know how that starts, but the athletic director has something to do with it, right? So Stacy's there right now, and she's had something to do with that. She makes those kids feel special. Last night, they win the MVAC. They clinch that up. And then on top of that, they go further, and Moore gets his 1,000th point. And Moore is a special, special talent at Camel. But what makes Camel so good is the fact that anybody can beat you on any given night. And that's how they win. They're not just dependent on one guy. And that's why I think you and Anthony were talking about Springfield. That's why Springfield's been so successful in a multitude of their sports, is because they're not always one guy. They're never just one guy, as a matter of fact, girl.
And the thing that's fascinating, at least to me anyway, about Springfield, not to get too far off of Camel, but as far as Springfield goes, I mean, we all know what, Bo Brungard, he's become such a household, a mega star. But I was telling Anthony, I don't know if this is wrong, but I can't help, when I think of Bo Brungard, I think of the 3 deep playoff runs.
Sure.
And the 2 state, runner-up, being the state runner-up 2 years in a row. But it's just to see him as a basketball player too, and just kind of be a star in his role, I think, as Anthony put it. And he never tries to do too much, never says, look at me. To be 17, 18 years old and be that way, that's just damn impressive, man, because you can make a case, is he even the the best player on as far as basketball goes, with Adam Wary and how he busted out last night, scoring 24 points.
Were you out there when we just had the argument, Quinn and I?
I did, and Quinn. I thought I heard Quinn say he thinks Brungard is the best.
He did, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Bo, but how is that dictated? Football, Bo was the beneficiary, and I'm not trying to take away from Bo, but in a team sport, you can't do it without the other guys. So like when Wary scores 20 a night or 25 and whatever it is he scores, how does that not, like, how do you dictate the best player on the floor? That's what I'm trying. And Quinn said it's not who scores. It's, I forget what he said. Is it who's guarded or the guy that kind of stirs the drink for everybody? I can't locate the best player on that team. And I think that's a strength for Springfield moving forward, because if I can't locate him and I'm looking for him, how is a coach? Yeah, that's wild to me. So like from your stance, Scotty, we talked about, the running up the score and stuff like that. We're entering the tournaments. If you're looking at film from a coach's perspective, if you can't locate the best player on the floor, what's the best way to go about defending? Just be yourself? Do what you do best, or what?
You're saying as far as
like if you're the opposite,
taking away the best player.
Yeah. So all right. So let's see here. Springfield plays Sebring. At least this is the girls. Okay. So we're gonna talk girls basketball, right? So if you're the Springfield coach, how do you take away Sebring's best player if you don't know it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you attack it?
Yeah, it's quite the conundrum, isn't it? I mean, I guess you would just have to like try a few different methods, like early on in the game. Like, are we gonna play more of a zone? Are we gonna go man? Do we double? Do
you stay with your strengths from that standpoint? Do you just go, okay, we're just going to be who we are and we'll figure it out as we go. We'll adjust at halftime.
Yeah, I think you do that. And I've always been, not just with basketball, but with any sport, to me, DJ, like I've always believed in the philosophy that like you play to your, like if I was a coach, I'd want to play to my players' strong points and adapt to my players rather than forcing them to fit some kind of system.
Sure.
So that's just how I feel. I think you don't worry about what makes the other team so dangerous. I think you just gotta focus on what you got. What's got you this far up into this point.
Mark Ross says, play to your team's strengths and adjust as the game goes on. And here's Quinn. Play zone and let them shoot. I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's necessarily off. And then full court trap. That's another one. Scotty, let's turn the page real quick. I know that you saw the Super Bowl on Sunday. I want to talk and get your thoughts on the Super Bowl, why nobody's talking about the Super Bowl, and why everybody's talking about the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, man. And I really like the halftime show. And something you said, DJ, really got my wheels spinning this morning. And you said it the other day as part of the Power Hour on Monday, I think it was. But you said it again today, how you don't understand why everything today in society, it has to be, the greatest thing ever since sliced bread, or it's absolute trash. Like like garbage. Like there's no in between. And I don't get, like, to me, it's like, especially with something like music, since that's what everybody's talking about, they're not really talking about the game, they're talking about the halftime show. To me, something like music, it's like you like what you like so much of it is relative to a person and what, the music does or doesn't mean to you and how it connects to you, or you don't have a connection with it. Like, I just don't understand I don't necessarily think it was the best halftime show ever, but I thought it was really good. I was entertained. I don't get the people, that are just totally, ripping it to shreds. And, I get that people, they talk about Eminem and guys like 50 Cent, whoever else, and they'll bring up how many times, their rap sheet and how many times they've been arrested and this and that. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, people, it's like now we have such big egos, and I don't like it, because I've always been more of a team guy than a me guy. And it's like, man, okay, like, it's almost like everybody's on this, like, there's no happy medium anymore. If you're a Democrat, you're awful, or you're a Republican, you're terrible, you're racist, you're this, you're that. And it's like, I just don't understand. It's like, nothing's ever been that black and white. It's never that black and white. It's like you said, there's a ton of gray area.
So I think that when you look at it, and I've had a couple of days to kind of compartmentalize this, most people in today's day and age, if you look at a tennis court, right, like from an aerial view, that's how people think of, this is what it has to be. Like you said, black or white, or is it this court or this court, right? Because you got two players for whatever it is, but it's this close together, right? On this side, you have this player's court. On this side, you have this player's court. I like to think of things always and still as a football field. You got two end zones, right? You got the extremes, and you got 100 yards in between, and there's a lot of running room. So when I saw that happen on Sunday night, I immediately thought, people are on the tennis courts. It's one side or the other. It's a ping pong table, whatever, however you want to classify it. We need to start looking at it more like a football field. And I'm not telling people how to live their lives, but I am really sick of, listen, Joe Burrow's the next Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes is the next Tom Brady. Josh Allen's the next Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the next Joe Montana. Like, everybody has to be the greatest. No. Just enjoy it. Like, I'm learning to try to enjoy LeBron James. I enjoyed LeBron James a lot when he was in Cleveland because I was a fan. I didn't necessarily travel with him after he left the second time, right, from Cleveland. He's a businessman. He does what he wants. But I enjoyed his career. I'm not saying that he needs to be, you know how I feel about him and Jordan at the end of the day, but I appreciate Michael Jordan in a different way, not necessarily the same way. I think everybody is apples to apples all the time, and you can't be.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I know and you just said you don't really like today's NBA. I know you used to follow it a lot more when you were younger, but it's kind of like take the Kyrie Irving situation, him not wanting to be vaxxed or whatever. And it's like, you don't have to agree with him not being vaxxed, but it's also like we've gotten to this point where it's like, it's almost like Clint Eastwood, like, get off my lawn. It's like, can't you just, in some sense, when you watch a game and you're watching someone like Kyrie, can't you just appreciate the player without going on, well, I'm going to shut it off forever because I don't agree with him not wanting to get vaxxed or whatever. So I'm done with, like, that's what I don't like, the people that say, oh, I'm not watching an NFL game anymore now because Eminem, he took it.
The same as it's when we politicize things, we make them worse. Let's just be honest. When we take things and we make them red or blue, we make them worse than what they should be. Because at the end of the day, sports and politics does not mix. We've seen that with Kaepernick. We've seen that with the stuff that's going on with the transgender stuff, which we will not get into, unlike our friends over on the AM dial, because that's not a hill that we want to die on. Because trust me, we will die. But Scotty, when we look at things of just absolutely black and white, there needs to be I'm not going to say 50 Shades of Grey. I know you thought I was going to. There needs to be, to me, 100 Shades of Grey, right? And look at things more like a football field than a ping pong table. And understanding the degrees of, okay, I like Eminem. I like Dre. I like Snoop. I like Mary J. Blige. I like Kendrick Lamar. But I don't need to necessarily say that that's the greatest thing that I ever saw in order to validate that. I was entertained. And that's all I want to be. Like, if you're not entertained, go pick up a book. Like, nobody asked you to sit there and, like, nobody's waiting for your Dear Abby editor, letter to the editor about how you hated the Super Bowl halftime show. And most of those people probably that are watching us have no idea what the hell Dear Abby is. I think we were the last generation for that. But Scotty, final thoughts on the black and white kind of issues of has to be the greatest or has to be the worst?
Yeah, I guess in closing, like, I just hope, and I don't know if it's possible in society because, some, for whatever reason, like, if somebody, takes a liking to one thing or follows one thing but doesn't, follow another or have the same passion, like you said, even using Joe Burrow before the Super Bowl, all the comps, and then he has, a bad fourth quarter, and all of a sudden he's garbage. I just, like, I'm just tired of it. I'm sick of it, and there has to be, like you said, you got to have some shades of gray in there. I just don't know if it's ever gonna be that way again because of social media and everything. It's like when Jordan played, it was nice because in a way, not saying that social media hasn't done great things, but it's like, man, we really took, like, sports or any other industry and we try to, like, mix these other things into it. And it's
everybody has an opinion, and that's where we're in trouble is we're listening to everybody's opinion, and we don't necessarily take the credibility cards into consideration. So
and then you know what they say, opinions are like
so everybody's got one. All right, let's get real quick to our Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Scotty, what's your spark today?
My spark today, I would have to say, and I know it's really early, and this is gonna, after talking about being a team guy, this is gonna come off like I'm contradicting myself.
Uh-oh.
But I guess I'm just happy with the last few days, I made a decision, especially after the Super Bowl. I'm like, I want to just feel better. I want to be a better person. And the way I could do that is at least try again, even though I've tried countless times and failed. I can try to eat healthier and care more about my diet. So my spark, I guess this would be a positive, is the fact that it's only been a few days, but I've eaten healthier. I'm drinking more water, and I just I felt better mentally, emotionally.
There you go.
I just felt better these last few days. So don't know how long I'll be able to sustain it, because I love my steak, I love my KFC, but it's a start anyway.
I like it.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I want this and I want this out of life. And sometimes people want to do things, but they want to take these shortcuts. And there's no, if you want something, you got to at least put the effort in and put the work in.
Got to earn it, man.
That's what I feel I got to do.
Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Nothing's given, everything's earned, right? Somebody said that one time.
Yeah, somebody.
I'm going to go with a spark, a positive spark, a night off, technically, from games, but we are not off from games with YSN. We have a full slate of games. Go to ysnlive.com/live for all the games available to you tonight. Power Play is in effect, so $9.99 gets you all of them that are. I think they're all Power Play tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So check those out. And again, the only reason we hand those down is because the OHSAA hands down a fee per game. So in order to be a business and to stay in business, we have to count on your business. We'll just put it that way. But my spark goes out to being able to spend some time with the family tonight. Looking forward to having a meal around the table with my lovely wife and the children. And I'm sure there will be tons of screaming and going on when you have a nearly 4-year-old and a man, I can never get it right. 3-month-old, I want to say 3 months. 3 months. Going on 4. She was born on Halloween, so we're getting there. But parents are weird because they do she or he is 7 weeks old, or she or he is 247 weeks old. They're 6, okay? They're 6 years old. Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, I'm excited for that. I know my wife's watching, so can't wait to hang out with her and just kind of low key. I'm sure I'll be in front of a screen somewhere doing something, especially watching the games tonight. A lot of great ones. So make sure you're tuning in. ysnlive.com/live. Again, $9.99 Power Play. One price gets you all of them here on the network tonight. So on behalf of Scotty Mincher, who joins us again every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday, we say thank you to him. And of course, we want to see you tomorrow right here on the YSN Power Hour. We've got some great guests tomorrow joining us. I'll let you know now, is going to be Gary Niddle, the head coach of the Canfield Cardinals. And then on Friday, we will have Logan Bell, the former Lisbon Blue Devil, multi-sport athlete, now at Bowling Green. We're going to talk to him about how things have been for him since he left high school and kind of his whole story. So hopefully you'll be able to catch that. Until next time, 3 to 4 tomorrow with Gary Niddle. We'll see you then. YSN thanks you for watching this